Welcome back to Fast Gadgets. Today I have the Phenom II X6 here, 1055T. I don't know if you remember this computer. You probably remember the ganglia cable, which I probably will clean up. I really don't know if I care enough, but what I want to do with this computer today is I'm going to install this 7200 RPM 1 terabyte drive that came out of my Dell computer. And my goal is to install PCLinux on this computer and then PCLinuxOS, which I wanted to do testing on because it's a System 5 based init system instead of System D. So it'll be something new for me to learn. So I just took this computer, completely cleaned it, wiped it all down, vacuumed inside and outside. And I'm going to finish up doing a little bit more cleaning and get that drive installed. And then what I'll do is download PCLinuxOS, and we are going to install it together today. I'll be right back as soon as I get that drive put in. Oh, and I forgot to mention also that one of the other reasons that I'm doing this is because I want to use this computer and do some benchmarking of Kdenlive H.265 renders against my new machine, because I feel like my new machine should be doing a lot better, but it's not, and I pretty much blame that on something to do with Kdenlive. So we're going to do some test renders and see what we come up with. Anyway, hard drive's in, mounted, cabled, power. I neatened the cables up. I used some garbage ties I got when I was putting up my Christmas lights, so we're all set with that. And as you can see, I've got some large fans in here that I added into this computer. I've got this one back here. I don't know if you can see it. I've got one back there, and I've got another one down here. So I added 3 large case fans, which made quite a difference as far as cooling goes, and they're super duper quiet. I really like them. All right, I'm going to button this thing up and we're going to power it up. Well, I've got the computer all set up. I've got the power cable. I've got the keyboard set up here. It has to be a PS2 keyboard because on this motherboard I have in here, the USB doesn't initialize until after you can select BIOS settings. Kind of crazy, but anyway. So I've got a PS2 keyboard, Wi-Fi or USB mouse and keyboard. And here in a second, I'm going to put in a USB network card that I have that works really well. So once this is done downloading, we're going to go ahead and get to work. So it says it's got 14 minutes left, and while it's doing that, I'm going to get this mounted on a tripod, my camera, and get ready for showtime. All right, comrades, so I used the Fedora Media Writer to take the PCLinuxOS download that I downloaded, and I wrote it to a USB 3. These little SanDisk drives are super duper fast, SanDisk Ultra Fit. The problem is this computer is only USB 2.0, but I'll tell you what, this thing on USB 2.0 is easily 2 to 3 times as fast as just a generic USB 2.0. I've got a couple of cheapies around here, and I always use these because even on the USB 2.0 interface, it's still faster. So I'm going to jack this in here, and we're going to switch over the screen here. We can switch it back and forth between USB, HDMI. I got 2 HDMI ports in here. And we're going to fire this thing up. Probably it's going to try to boot into Windows 10 on the 1 terabyte drive that's in here, but we'll see what happens. So give me a minute. I'll get a tripod set up as well. All right, well, I think I got the best angle I'm going to get. Again, I don't know if this is going to boot up because the Fedora Media Writer even tells you out and out that it's designed for Fedora, but it does work with other ISOs. So we're going to find out how lucky we get. So I'm going to power this unit up, and I'll hit the delete key while I'm powering up. And problem number 1 has presented itself, so I'm going to have to stop everything and take care of it. I've got some plastic in the fan here, so I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Just trying to do some final tripod adjustments here so you don't have to have a hard time seeing. So, this is, of course, my new system, the Dell 5675. So we're going to do a switch over as soon as we get this one powered up. So I'm going to go ahead and power it up. And I'm going to hit the delete key while I do that. And see if I can figure out which key I have to hit. There we go. So I do want to boot from that USB, and I'm just going to go in and check the BIOS settings real quick and make sure everything's still kosher. Too many cold reset due BIOS post system might be incorrectly overclocked. Press delete to resume, and I did. All right. You gotta love these BIOSes. Okay, trying to get into the BIOS. I know it's not overclocked to the point where it can't handle it. It's only like one step up, so it really shouldn't be having any kind of overclock issue. Nothing it can't normally handle. Well, it pretty much ignored my request to go into the BIOS, but it's going to let me do live CD, so I'm going to just do live CD because this is PCLinuxOS, and just go ahead and get it installed. I'm going to wipe the Dell drive. Normally I would back it up, but I get education versions of Windows, so I really don't worry too much about it, and I don't want all that garbage that's on there anyway. So we'll boot into Linux and just start the installation right away. Now, I haven't seen my network card light up yet. That's going to be an issue if we don't get the network working. This one is, it's older. It's a Netgear N version USB card, so it should work. I mean, it basically will work with everything. I have a better wireless AC, but typically I found Linux has issues getting that working, so we'll see what happens. So here is USB 2.0 booting up. Woohoo! I don't see any mouse yet, but I do have a laser on the mouse, so I should be all right. Keyboard lights are on, so keyboard's working. And our splash screen disappeared. I don't know if that's any indicator of a problem or what the story is. See if I can get a focus over there. Bringing up interface WLAN 0, and there's our blue light right there. So I like that Dell I bought, it has built-in wireless AC and it works quite well. But if I don't have it, I've got two different USB Wi-Fi adapters, which works nice. All right, I can see already that it's actually running in 1080p. I'm going to take the brightness volume. Boy, I tell you. Take the brightness down so you can see this better. There we go. You like the sound effects? Okay. Enter to US keyboard. I'm hoping once we get this sucker installed, it'll be much faster, even though it's going to have to run off of a non SSD, but hey, that's all right. So I really want to do some Kdenlive benchmarking. I can tell that it's much faster, well, I should say faster on the Ryzen 7, but I'm thinking it should be even faster. So we're going to compare it to the Phenom II X6. So got an install me icon here. I have Dolphin, and I can see I'm going to have to back up the camera for y'all, so give me a minute. Well, I've got a typical KDE start menu here. I have Dolphin, the file manager, and pretty much what I've come to expect. I've got KDE system settings down here, Synaptic package manager, configure your computer icon, Google Chrome. That's cool. So we now know that PCLinuxOS is not 100% open source. Is that a deal breaker for me? Not yet. I mean, Chrome's okay. I guess it all depends if they get a kickback for that, but I doubt they do. And see if we can get the focus a little bit better for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run the installer. I don't expect this to be super fast, mainly because of the hard drive, but I do have 16 gigabytes of DDR3. I believe it's 1833 RAM, and the 1055T 6-core processor overclocked at 3.07 gigahertz. Do you agree to lose all the partitions on SDB? Sure, why not? Now, here is the content of your disk drive. I'm going to erase, well, I don't really want to do custom because I think it takes too much time. You notice the icon set? That's really funny. I love it. Let's do custom anyway. What I really want to do is wipe this drive. Clear all. Can I do that? SDA, of course, should be, wait, let's see. Now, SDB is my USB drive. SDA is the 1 terabyte drive. Let's check out auto allocate. So it makes home 877 gigabytes. I wonder if I can shrink this guy right here. I want to make this smaller because here's my thinking. I'll probably use this to install other versions of Linux on there and do like a dual boot type thing. Alright, so let's see if I can get this guy down to do I want to go thirdsies and have 3 different Linux potential installs? Yeah, why not? I think 300 gigabytes would be sufficient for what I want to do. Okay. So root has 50 gigabytes, swap 3.9, home 304 gigabytes. Done. It's going to be written to disk. Partition table of drive SDA. Okay. I've got a loud fan in there still. I'm going to have to figure out. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. Read carefully, so it makes you do it. You need to reboot for the partition table modifications to take effect. Okay, that would figure. So I got to do a reboot. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to find out which one of these fans is being noisy. So give me a few seconds. Well, as you know, we set the partitions up. We rebooted. The boot process took forever. So it was basically on the screen with that blue bar slowly traveling across. So it wasn't actually doing anything. If you go back here, you can see that it's just sitting there. at a blinking cursor, and this is from complete power off. So I'm going to try Control-Alt-Delete. Okay, so it did receive the Control-Alt-Delete. Good time to take a sip of coffee. Not sure what the problem is, but ever since we reformatted that drive and set the partitions up to install PCLinuxOS, it's been a problem. It occurs to me that Fedora Linux, when you install it, it does not need a reboot when you set up the partitions. So I'm not sure what's up. All right, well, I reformatted and reloaded the ISO image onto the thumb drive, and I've gotten this far. So I told it to go ahead and boot up to the live CD, but show me the console so I could see what's happening. So yeah, something happened to the USB drive. I'm not sure what, but we just switched into 1080p mode. Whoops, sorry about that. Probably should have turned the Christmas tree off back there, shouldn't I have? So now everything's coming up. I don't know what happened to the USB drive. It's really weird. So hopefully now I can install to the hard drive, because I created the partitions. US keyboard. My cat is rubbing on the tripod again. Captain Janeway. Whoa, you know you're going to make people seasick. Silly kitty. Let's get a quick picture here. Janie. Hey, buddy. Hey, tripod rubbing kitty. Good girl. This is technically Captain Janeway's room. Her food is in here and her little scratching post and all that stuff. So she comes in and out and hangs out around in here, don't you, Janie? Yeah. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Say hi to everybody. She's a really good kitty. 18 years old. Yeah. Good girl. Okay. Look what we got. So here we go. Install me. Yeah, I almost did this on a virtual machine, but then I thought, you know what? No, I don't think I will. And it's always better on hardware. Cannot read the partition table of dev SDB. That's what happened right there. It wiped its own partitions. SDB is itself. So I'm going to click no. So it was my fault. I'm the one who screwed it all up. I guess I have to go through this again. That's why it made me reboot, because it erased its own partitions. We'll go back to custom. Make sure we're on the right one. SDA. Clear all. Auto allocate. Resize this one to about 1/3. Okay. I think I wasn't reading. I think it's funny that it wants to erase its own partition. That's kind of crazy. Its own drive. Janie. All right, done. It's going to be written to disk. Okay. Let's do it. I bet the install is going to go a lot better now. Yes, it is. Okay, so if you're doing PC Linux, man, you better watch out. We've detected that some packages are not needed. What are we removing? Yeah, that makes sense. It's going to remove unneeded drivers, NVIDIA, because I don't have any NVIDIA stuff in here. And next. By default, it tries to erase itself first thing. That is a very interesting installation, and I should have picked up on that it was trying to erase SDB, which is itself, not SDA. So no big deal. Reformatted it and reinstalled the ISO onto the USB drive, and we're back in business. So apparently I don't get any pretty pictures during the installation. It's just showing the live CD being installed to the local drive. So I'm going to pause and we'll be right back when it's done. All right, well, installation's done. It only took about 5 minutes, and I was just kind of hanging around cleaning my computers off and stuff. All right, so got to enter a password here. Advanced. What would advanced be? Sure. Next. Please wait. Well, might as well do some more cleaning while it's saying wait. Probe Foreign OS. Advanced. Do not touch ESP or MBR. Not sure what that's all about, but I'm going to leave it. So we got a Drake Live install crash. I suspect it's probably installed. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down. And we're going to try to power up. Did I get the right thing? We're going to try to power up from the hard drive. Oh boy. Reboot and select proper boot device, or insert boot media in selected boot device and press a key. Yeah, awesome. All right, folks, so I'm going to call this my last attempt. Here's the thing. I really expect more from an operating system. It's got to be able to install without any problems. If it can't, you know, how am I going to trust it just from day-to-day usage? So this is a last chance. I've completely reinstalled it again. Put the password in. I'm going to have a look at advanced again. Okay. Next. Now, I think what I'm going to do different this time is I'm going to turn off Probe Foreign OS. I don't know what that's all about. And here, we are about to set up the boot up. I'm going to look at advanced here. Video mode. It doesn't list the video mode of my monitor, which is 1920 by 1080. I'm not going to touch that. All right, well, I'm going to click finish here if it can't survive and live to boot another day. This is it. Here we go. I think it might have worked. No, it didn't. It crashed again. So the setup bootloader install bootloader, it couldn't execute mount install bin grub 2. So without my bootloader, and I'm not going to manually set up grub 2, that's living hell, and there's no way I'm doing it. So I hate to say it, but that's it for PCLinuxOS. I will give it an F for failure. You know, it should be able to do this on a slightly older machine, so all the hardware should be compatible. It's got a 1 terabyte drive in there, standard HDD. Nothing special going on here. This shouldn't be a problem. It should be able to do this. And it can't. So that's it. That's all she wrote. My grade on PCLinuxOS is an F. My recommendation is do not attempt to install. I shouldn't have to go through the install 3 to 4 times and take 2 to 3 hours just to get to this point. So, bummer deal, but nothing I can do about it. I'm going to find another distro to use. Maybe I'll try Devon. I don't know what you guys think of that. I'll give that a try. I want one that is a non-systemd, just for kicks and giggles. I might just go ahead and put Fedora 27 on this on one of the partitions, because remember, I can do multiple installs because I really want to get to the point where I can do some benchmarking. But unfortunately, I've taken up 4 hours of my time doing this and getting nowhere, so I'm going to have to wait till another day and edit up this video. You know the drill. If you like it, drop a comment, subscribe, and share. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time on Fast Gadgets.